when someone keeps talking. Okay. I'm ready.
Got somewhere to go, right?
Yeah.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can we all please rise for the pledge of allegiance, led by Commissioner Creighton.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Alton, Commissioner Creighton, Commissioner Acevedo,
Present.
Commissioner Lees, Commissioner Brooks,
Present.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Present.
Chairman Morelli.
Present.
Commissioners Alton and Lees are absent. Case number 3325, application of Michael Goldstein of 83 Joyce Road, Plainview, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.5M subdivision, 9-105.5A use, parcel A, 9-105.5C front yard, parcel B, 9-105.5D rear yard, parcel B, for the subdivision of a 60 by 60 lot into two 30 by 60 lots, elevation of an existing two-family house, and construction of a new one-family house at 46 Kentucky Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 58, Block 107, Lot 5, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application?
I'll make a motion to deny.
Commissioner Leonetti has introduced a motion to deny the application. Who will second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Brooks has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton?
Deny.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Deny.
Commissioner Brooks?
Deny.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Deny.
Chairman Morelli?
Denied.
This application has been denied. Let me just see one thing. Oh, and, hold on, I'm missing a page.
And also the renewal application for now.
I'm just missing a page. Hold on. The what? Which one is that? Yeah, that's the first one. I'm gonna call it in. I'm just looking for the 454 East Broadway is not being voted on tonight. I just don't have the case number. 454 East Broadway, Goldstein, that's not being voted on. They're submitting amended plans.
Okay.
Okay. And for the calendar, case number 3178, application of Long Beach and Park Holding LLC of 88 Heron Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.2K use, 9-11221 off-street parking, for renewal of a 2-year conditional temporary variance in order to maintain a doctor's office at 714 East Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 200, Lot 7, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
That's the 7-story apartment, right?
Yes.
Okay, hi, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Just give us your name and address for the record, please.
Ira Brushak. My home address is 88 Heron Street, Long Beach, New York, 11561.
Okay, so, Dr. Rushak, so you're here basically for the renewal of a conditional temporary variance that the board granted 2 years ago for your chiropractic practice.
That's correct.
So in that 2-year time, has anything changed?
No, it's still a chiropractic practice.
So hours are the same, employees are the same?
Yeah.
and The practice is the same? Just
Exactly.
for the record, there's been no additional demands on parking, there's been no expansion of hours, no other partners, associates, or anything else?
No.
So you would say, standing in front of the board, that it would be safe to say that what existed today, or what exists today, is really what existed 2 years ago when you were
That's
granted
correct.
conditional variance? Okay. Any members of the board? Anyone from the audience want to speak in favor or against? I'll move to grant.
I'll second.
Case number 3178, application of Long Beach and Park Holding LLC of 88 Heron Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.2K use, 9-11221 off-street parking, for renewal of a 2-year conditional temporary variance in order to maintain a doctor's office at 714 East Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 200, Lot 7, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Chairman Morelli has introduced a motion to grant the application. Commissioner Leonetti has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton?
Grant.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Grant.
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Grant.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant the conditional variance.
This application has been granted. Case number 3326, application of Rachel Engel of 80 Kerrigan Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.8D side yard for a second-story addition, add one-car garage at 80 Kerrigan Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 181, Lot 7, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So can you please give us your name and address for the record?
Monty Leeper, architect, located at 414 Foxhurst Road in Oceanside.
How are you? All right, so you're representing your client, obviously, and tell us about the project.
Okay, well, I prepared a statement here. Can I read it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm here representing Rachel and Amanda Engel, owners of the residence located at 80 Kerrigan Street. They're requesting a variance from zoning code for the purpose of creating an addition to their second floor and a one-car garage. Rachel and Amanda purchased the home in 2015, have 2 small children, ages 1 and 5 years old. The home is in Zone FF with required side yards of 20 feet on both sides, where the existing side yards are 17.92 on the sunny south side play area and 15.6 on the shady north side car parking area of the dwelling. The home is currently 1.5 story with 2 bedrooms and a third that is used as a playroom. The timing of the proposed work is because the home is in need of repairs and lacks storage space. There is no attic, and the first floor is on a concrete slab on grade. The proposed addition is intended to expand on the existing home footprint for more usable space on a second floor and to create attic space above, while adding a garage on the north side of the first floor that continues to allow for one car to be parked indoors, secure and out of the weather, while a second car can continue to be parked off-street in the preserved driveway. The proposed garage better accommodates getting children and groceries in and out of the car in poor weather. And I hope you don't mind, but I ordered this poor weather tonight as Exhibit 1. Thank you. The relief sought is from zoning ordinance section 9-105.8D for the side yard setback, which is proposed to be 4.25 feet. The proposed garage plans presented this evening meet several of the criteria of New York State zoning law regarding variances, namely, 1, that the proposed garage does not negatively impact on the health, safety, or welfare of the neighborhood or community by such granting of the application, and is compatible with the character of the surrounding properties, as you can see from the photos. Whether the benefit, number 2, sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue, which I'm stating that the proposed design solution is non-attainable by other means, since the proposed garage allows for protection from the weather and immediate access to the car from the house that would otherwise not be attainable when the car is parked in the same spot unenclosed. A large 85 square feet shed is already in that area of the yard, which the garage would replace. 3, as to whether the requested variance is substantial, and it is not substantial, considering that the open space used by the family is on the south side and the north side south side larger yard is still preserved, while the north side will still be utilized for parking, but indoors instead of outdoors. As to whether, number 4, the proposed garage will have an adverse effect or impact upon the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood, which the proposal will not, since it is within the area of the property boundaries, is mitigated from flood damage and is an architectural enhancement to the subject residence, continuing to accommodate the parking of the car off-street but weather protected, and whether the alleged difficulty is self-created, which it is from the standpoint that an addition of this nature would not solve every problem imposed by nature, but which it is not self-created by the fact that weather is not a self-imposed hardship, but that this aesthetically pleasing proposal resolves the hardship in a simple, functional, and attractive way. Allowing for this young family with small children the use of the home in a more practical way avoids weather problems for the family's protection and convenience. The home's enhancement actually meets another important criteria of New York State zoning law, namely that it seeks an outcome that benefits the homeowners, the surrounding neighborhood, and the community. And for these reasons, we respectfully request that the variance be granted.
So, Mr. Lippert, I just want to go over a couple of items, just have a couple of questions. So now, basically, this home, I'm assuming, was remedied after Sandy, correct? And were there any big changes or any additions at that time when they repaired the home after Sandy?
I don't believe so.
Okay. And as I understand it, then basically, although it says a 20-foot setback on that side, because of the situation, it really becomes like a 5-foot setback.
In the canals, if the property is, if the premises is, the property is 80 feet or wider, then the setback is required to be 20 feet on either side of the house. If the property is less than 80 feet, then we require 8 feet and 5 feet on either side of the house.
So basically, Mr. Liebert, to that comment by Council Lupo, the 4.2 side would be really a reduction from what might be a 5-foot side, am I correct?
I appreciate that, but I wasn't aware of that.
Okay. So basically, if, let's just say, she was on a 60, she would need a 5-foot setback. Because they're on an 80, they need a 20-foot setback. So there are many homes in the canals that do have a 5-foot setback. That, just to clarify it in my own head, it's 4.2 on that 5-foot side. But many homes have a 5-foot side.
That's correct, in which case it would only
I'm
be
just trying to put it in.
0.8 feet
Okay.
as a variance.
Commissioner, one other thing to keep in mind is currently, right now, the setbacks are pre-existing non-conforming,
Right.
so it's about 18 feet on one side, and the side that they propose to reduce down to 4.2 feet is currently 15.6 feet.
Yeah, so it was non-conforming at 15.6, and that's why I asked the question, was there any work done after Sandy that reduced that side to 15.6, and now we're reducing it further, you know, so, all right, but Mr. Leeper and his client, I saw nodding for the record, that there was no work after Sandy that encroached or needed variances from that original 20-foot. Any other members of the board have any questions so far?
So the basic change of the footprint is the addition of the garage and filling out a little bit in back of that portion that connects the garage to the house.
That's correct.
Okay.
And the portion that we're talking about filling in, technically, the second floor is going over that area. It's actually not filling in at the rear of the living room.
Okay.
So it's not on the first floor. It's still open space. It just creates the ability to walk under an overhang, also in inclement weather.
Okay. I'm not seeing that the height is creating a variance, but it's awfully high, the peak of the roof of the addition. What do you have, like an 8 and 12 pitch on that roof?
Yes. That's so that it's accessible as a storage space from the second floor.
Okay. Was there any feedback from the neighbors regarding the garage?
Would you like to step to the mic?
If you want to, you know what, Mr. Leeper, if the applicants want to get on the record, it might be better, so let them come up.
Yes.
Give us your name, please, and let's get you on the record so that we know who was saying. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Rachel Engel. And that's Amanda.
Amanda Engel.
Hi.
Hi.
So, give us your address, please, Rachel.
Give it what?
Your address, just for the
80
record.
Kerrigan Street, Long Beach, New York.
Okay, so
11566.
what did you want to say, just so we have it?
So
on
yeah,
the record?
we've been in touch with all of our neighbors and they're all in favor of it. I've actually gone over, one of them asked me what was going on with the sign in front of our house and I explained everything and they're all in favor of us beautifying the neighborhood and staying put where we are. Otherwise, you know, we would not be able to stay in this house. We'd have to move into something more spacious for us and they all want us to stay on the block.
How long
So,
have you been on that house?
since 2015.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want to also add anything, or no?
Nope, I
You
concur.
can give us your name too, and you can add it, whatever you want.
Amanda Engel.
Okay,
Yes, I agree, I concur. We've discussed with everybody.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so basically, we're talking about an expansion for the purposes of people who have been living in the house and utilizing just as things are growing. So we just need a little more space. Understood. Thank you. Anyone else? I'll just ask from the audience, if there's nobody there, but I'll ask anyway for the sake of asking. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor or against this application? No?
Just make one other point. Just,
Yes.
There's currently a shed in the backyard that's being torn down to put this garage.
Yes, it's indicated on the site plan that the shed will be removed.
Anybody else? I'm going to move to grant.
I'll second.
Case number 3326, application of Rachel Engel of 80 Kerrigan Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.8D side yard. For a second-story addition, add one-car garage at 80 Kerrigan Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 181, Lot 7, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Chairman Morelli has introduced the motion to grant the application. Commissioner Leonetti has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton?
Grant,
Commissioner Acevedo?
grant,
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Grant.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant.
This application has been granted.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good night.
I have the, if you'd like this.
Oh, you want that? Yeah.
Do you need it?
Good night.
Thank you.
Case number 3327, application of Jin Sun of 86 East Pine Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-113.2G off-street parking. For new off-street parking in the front yard at 86 East Pine Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 92, Lot 197, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening, Mr. Gallinaro.
Good evening. Joseph Gallinaro, 143 East Park Avenue, Suite number 2. Here representing Mr. Sun in his request for a single off-street parking space. Mr. Sun had elevated his house to the minimum height that it was allowable or necessary to be FEMA compliant, but he did not elevate high enough to get parking under the house. So he did not have a curb cut existing. None of the houses from the west side of the MLK Center for about, I would say, at least 6 or 7 houses prior to Sandy had curb cuts. They were all without. Since then, the property directly to the east, which is 88 East Pine, was granted earlier this year, for a single curb cut to have off-street parking, which is the same exact variance that we're looking, Mr. Sun is asking for at his property at 86. The property 84 heading to the west has a curb cut with under the house parking, and 82 has double curb cuts with 2 cars parking underneath it. We're looking to put the car parking space in the front yard on the west side of the property and there's a planter next to the existing staircase. This will leave from the eastern edge of Mr. Sun's parking, a proposed curb cut, to the western edge of 88, about 15 feet, so there could be another car, although not a large SUV, but most cars, I think like a Suburban is around 16 and a half feet. Just to put it in perspective, there would be roughly 15 feet. We're requesting a 13-foot curb cut, which is slightly smaller, but again, the same exact curb cut that was allowed by the board earlier this year for the adjacent property.
Okay, so, Mr. Gallagher, I mean, looking at, other homes on that street, certainly there are curb cuts, and I see that, basically the house at 84, I guess it would be right next to what's left, has a kind of a big curb cut. What's the dimension of the curb cut?
We're proposing a 13-foot curb cut, which again is downsized in
Right,
what
so
it...
it's not anywhere near the length of the curb cut on the house adjacent to it.
No.
Because that looks like a curb cut for 2 cars.
It's just,
And they would not be extending it to that dimension.
no, proposing 13, and 13 should be installed. We are suggesting that it's held 2 feet off the property line so that they can have a fence, maybe a little planter, not trying to, I understand from the conversation when we were here for the adjacent property, that no one's really interested in having wall-to-wall concrete, although we can't necessarily control what people do for their landscaping, but we left a 2-foot buffer, again, for a fence and possibly some sort of planting along the fence. That 13-foot curb cut could be pushed closer to the western side, but will definitely eliminate the possibility of any plants there. It's definitely going to be wall-to-wall concrete at that point.
Okay. I'm just curious on the application too. The applicant is Rebecca Manchuk and the owner is Jin Sun Halliday. related to
Rebecca
each
works in my office,
Okay.
so she's just the applicant, and there's
Oh.
no relationship.
other?
So, I'm sorry, are you saying that the curb cut is going to infringe on the next door neighbor's house?
No, not at all. Sorry, we're holding the curb cut 2 feet away from the property line,
Okay.
so that it
Got
wouldn't infringe, and we would leave some space for planters. I think, Commissioner Acevedo, you had mentioned that the 88 hearing, and I agree with you, we don't need wall-to-wall concrete. We want planters, we want
Right.
residential areas, so that, because of one of those comments by the board, we wanted to keep it off. I had suggested we could make it tighter,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
Any other questions? No? Anyone from the audience, for the record, anyone from the audience for or against? Okay. Anyone want to move on?
I'll second.
Case number 3327, application of Jin Sun of 86 East Pine Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-113.2G off-street parking for new off-street parking in the front yard at 86 East Pine Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 92, Lot 197, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Commissioner Creighton has introduced a motion to grant the application. Commissioner Brooks has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton? Commissioner Acevedo?
Grant.
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Grant.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant.
This application has been granted.
thank you.
Okay, one more to go. Okay, yeah. Case, what is that? And Darren. Case number 3156, application of 135 East Park Avenue LLC of 143 East Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance of the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.15H off-street parking for a modification to variance number 3156 to reduce the approved parking from 10 spaces to 9 spaces at 135 East Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 109, Lot 15 through 19 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Dennis G. Kelly, 120 West Park Avenue, Suite 311, Long Beach, New York, 11561, here on behalf of the applicant, 135 East Park Ave, LLC. Mr. Chairman, I'm here tonight to request a modification for a case that you heard a little over 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, relative to 135 East Park Avenue, the location of the old Citibank, which is now in the only remaining building just to the west. Area variances were granted to allow for 10 parking spaces where, as stated in the denial letter at the time, 53 were required. That is a little bit of a disorienting number because it's not accurate given the process that we had been through the hearings and our ultimate reduction of the space. So the original application was for 24 units, requiring for those 24 units 36 spaces. There was also 11 spaces for commercial, based on Mr. Gallinaro's calculation, and then the building department commissioner thought otherwise, and we obviously have to follow him. It was 53 spaces required. However, like I mentioned during the process, we reduced the number of units from 24 to 16, thus requiring 24 spaces. Also bear in mind, I'll just say it for the record, I know you know it, most of the retail space, if not 90% of the retail space in the Business District A does not have parking on site. The reason why we're here this evening asking for the modification to reduce it from 10 spaces to 9 spaces is for several reasons, one of which I'll address, and then I'll let our architect, Joe Gallinaro, address the others. Unbeknownst to us, but later came to our attention after the area variances were granted, the next door neighbor, the Citibank, to the west, had taken about approximately, on average, 1.5 feet of our property with the construction of a stucco wall on the eastern side of their building. So, and it's actually reflected on the survey that's in your packets. There's a line on the western edge of our property that extends almost the entire 100 feet of the depth of the property. So we're losing approximately 150 square feet on the ground level, and in total for the project, about 450 square feet if you calculate that for the three floors. So we lost some space there, and particularly has an impact on parking that 1.5 feet. And I'll let Mr. Gallinaro come up and address the other issues that had an impact on the parking. Mr. Gallinaro?
Mr. Kelly, can I ask you a quick question, please? So the 1.5 feet that Citibank took over, how did that come about? I mean, did they just do that on their error, or was it miscalculated, the dimensions of your client's
It's a great, you're on a roll with great questions, Commissioner Acevedo. Unbeknownst to us, Citibank had taken that 1.5 feet from our property. It's virtually disguised. Now, if you were studying a survey, you might see it, you might recognize it. We did address it with the owner, LBC Management LLC, who owns that particular building, and said, hey, you took 1.5 feet. They said, yeah, well, we'll remove the lights. You may, if you looked, you may have seen 3 sconces on the wall. We'll remove the lights. We're not going to remove the wall. Having litigated issues like this, we're proceeding with litigation. However, I have to tell you, if they've had the wall for over 10 years, and they have to fulfill certain, address certain criteria for what we call adverse possession, they may very well end up keeping the wall. Having said that, my client wants to proceed because the expense of doing this just continues to increase. We were hopeful that, given the letter, we might be successful with the letter. We weren't. I got a letter in response saying that's not going to happen. But we would be more than happy to remove the 3 sconce lights. Okay?
And that's affecting only the parking? It's not infringing on the structure itself?
It is infringing on the structure itself, and so we are going to commence a lawsuit claiming trespass and asking for what we call quieting title. But like I said, I'm firmly convinced that they will move or counterclaim us for adverse possession. Having said that, I'd probably leave it to Mr. Gallinaro to address its impact on the above floors. But yeah, that's how I come up. So the 150 square feet that so the 150 square feet that I first mentioned references just the loss on the ground. Then you extrapolate that for 4 stories, and it's and in Mr. Gallinaro's business, every square foot is worth something. So it's definitely a loss. But we are trying to address it through litigation. But there's no point in waiting, because an adverse possession case can difficult for years.
Mr. Kelly, is Mr. Gallanaro basically going to show us that there's also been either a number of apartments or a size reduction in the apartments, rendering the usage a little less, or no?
I'll let Mr. Gallinaro, Mr.
right.
Chairman, address that issue.
So, Mr. Gallinaro, Joe, just do me a favor when you get up there, if you can contrast, just for the record, the number of apartments that originally were approved and the approximate size of the apartments that were approved in comparison as to how that might change now.
Overall, we were able to, instead of taking it all out of one side of the building, we kind of proportionally made and shifted the building over slightly. So we took, you know, again, it's not a straight 1.5 feet, it's, you know, 1.8 feet on one side, it kind of bows out and cuts in. So instead of taking 18 inches out of one apartment, we took 9 and 9 and tried to take a little bit out of the corridor and the elevator and the stairs and all that kind of stuff. So it did come at an additional cost because the entire design team did have to redraw the building. It was us, the structural engineer, the mechanical engineers, which Nelson and Pope were the mechanical engineers, to get this done. I think one other important part, though, is this property is part of the opportunity zone, which comes with deadlines. So the idea of waiting for litigation and the building to take time, there would be deadlines that would have been missed, and opportunity zone benefits would have gone away. So the idea was just to press forward to get it done so we can get constructing.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, just to summarize, you were able to get the project reduced, but the number of units is still the same.
Correct.
Okay. On the retail space, what was the change on that, just the 18 inches?
Correct. Just a total reduction of overall square footage.
The reduction wouldn't account for one less space, right? It's just, yeah.
That's correct.
Just doesn't fit anymore.
Correct. Correct. A couple of other explanations as to why the parking became tighter back there is the utility companies have requested larger pieces of equipment than was anticipated, which that we show on the drawings on the side. We had the meters up against the north wall of the building itself. The second floor cantilevers over and you park under the building. So we thought we would be putting a lot of utilities, the meters in particular, along the north-facing wall of the building, where the utility companies want us to push it all the way out into the corner of the property, which is, and they need roughly 4 plus or minus feet, which took away from the entire width.
And they, I guess, get the final say on that, right?
I mean, we're still working with them just to, there was an underground transformer, they want it over here, now we want it over here, now we'll put it in the front. It's somewhat of a fluid situation. We don't have but they're like, that's where we want it.
So basically, too, just to have it on the record, is that where the changes were going to go, basically it ate up a spot.
Correct.
Just to, summarize it.
Thank you. Yeah.
I don't have any other questions. Any members of the board?
Did the column placement move?
Did the what?
The column placement.
The columns originally weren't there. So we had the whole back of the building cantilevered.
Okay.
And then one of the other parts of the project, cantilevering the back of the building, became expensive.
Because there's no way you get 10 spots in here with these columns.
Right. The initial design had no columns.
Okay. And what are those two things shown to the outside on to the left of space 1 and to the right of space 9?
Those would be the utility blocked out zones for utilities.
Okay.
And there's also sanitation that's going to be required. Sanitation, which is also recycling and sanitation. So.
Okay.
How wide is the handicap area between parking spot 6 and 7?
It's 5 feet to the column, and then we just added extra to space 7.
And now because is that, did you do that just because you couldn't fit everything else into those columns? Or
Yeah, I mean, we need the spot, so that was, you know,
And that wasn't the reason you lost the space with the column placement?
no, the column placement, losing the spot with the column placement was not the thing. It was the overall utilities plus the adjacent building on the property.
So basically, it was unforeseen issues that are preventing the tent.
Correct. Correct.
Anyone else? I'll ask if there's anyone in the audience for or against. Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to grant.
I'll second it.
Case number 3156, application of 135 East Park Avenue LLC, of 143 East Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.15H off-street parking for modification to variance number 3156 to reduce the approved parking spaces from 9 spaces to 10 spaces, from 10 spaces to 9 spaces at 135 East Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 109, Lots 15 through 19 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Commissioner Acevedo has introduced a motion to grant the application. Chairman Morelli has seconded the motion. Excuse me. Oh, my gosh, I didn't even have anything to drink. Commissioner Creighton? Commissioner Acevedo? Yeah. Commissioner Brooks?
Grant.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Grant.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant.
This application has been granted. Done.
Good evening, guys. Wish everyone a very happy
Let
holiday.
me turn off the...
And the meeting is now 12:22.
Good night. It's only going to get better.